The river rescueth alien jungle was alive with sound. Strange birds screamed from high branches. Insects clicked and hissed. Giant leaves dripped water from the morning rain. The air was heavy. Thick like a blanket, David, a lone human explorer, pushed through the vines with his machete. His boots sank into wet mud. His backpack carried only the basics: food, water, a rifle, and some medical gear. He had been traveling for days on this strange planet, mapping rivers and caves for the colony. But today was different. As he walked along the river bank, he heard a noise that froze him in place, a violent splash, followed by a deep roar that shook his chest. The water churned like a storm, spray flying into the air. Something massive was fighting for its life in the river. David crouched low, rifle ready. He peered through the trees. His eyes widened. In the raging water thrashed a beast unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a leopard, but not of earth. Its body was covered in sleek black fur mixed with patches of shimmering scales. Its long tail whipped like a whip. Its claws slashed at the waves. Its glowing yellow eyes burned with fury and fear. The creature was drowning. David's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed at him to stay back. This was no ordinary animal. One wrong move and it could kill him in seconds. But the sight of the great beast sinking, gasping, fighting to keep its head above water struck something deep in him. Without thinking, David dropped his pack and leapt into the river. The cold water slammed into him, dragging him under. He kicked hard, breaking the surface. The current was strong, pulling him toward the rapids. But he forced his way toward the drowning beast. The leopard roared, thrashing. Its claws nearly struck him. The force of the water spun David around, choking him. But he pushed forward. Easy, he gasped, even though he knew the animal could not understand. Easy, I'm here. The beast's glowing eyes fixed on him for a heartbeat. Then the river dragged them both under. David's lungs burned. He reached out, grabbing the creature by its scaled collar of fur. His arms screamed from the effort. The weight was enormous. He kicked, fighting against the current, slowly dragging the beast toward the bank. Every second felt like hours. Water crashed around him. The leopard's body jerked violently, nearly pulling him under. But David refused to let go. He pulled with everything he had, inch by inch, until at last they slammed against the muddy shore. Gasping, David dragged himself out of the water. Coughing, his arms shook with exhaustion. The leopard lay beside him, chest heaving, its sides rising and falling with ragged breaths. For a long moment, man and beast stared at each other. David's rifle lay out of reach, his knife still strapped to his leg. But he did not move for a weapon. He simply sat there, dripping, watching. The leopard growled low, its fangs bared, its glowing eyes narrowed at him. For a moment, David thought it would lunge, rip him apart for daring to touch it. But then, its growl softened, its head lowered, its breath slowed. David curled closer carefully, his hands trembling. He saw blood in the water around its body, gashes along its flank, torn from sharp rocks in the rapids. The beast was not only drowning, it was wounded. Easy, David whispered again. You'll be all right. He pulled open his medical pack. His hands worked quickly, wrapping bandages across the wounds. The beast twitched, claws flexing dangerously close to his arm. But it did not strike. It only watched him with eyes filled with something strange. Not hatred, but confusion. The jungle was silent now. Even the birds seemed to hold their voices, as if the entire forest watched the human tend to the alien predator. Minutes passed, David's hands steady as he bound the last wound. Finally, he sat back, chest heaving, his body bruised and tired from the river's pull. The leopard shifted slowly, lifting its great head. David expected a roar, an attack, but instead, the beast lowered its head toward him, as if testing his presence. Its glowing eyes locked on his. For the first time, David felt it. This was no ordinary creature. There was intelligence behind those eyes, something deeper than animal instinct. Then the river behind them bubbled. A strange glow flickered beneath the water. David turned his head. His breath caught. There, just below the surface, something shimmered, a small shape, fragile and glowing faintly. The leopard growled low, its eyes flicking to the river. David understood. The beast had not been fighting for its own life, it had been protecting something. The realization sent a chill down his spine. He stared into the water, at the strange glow hidden beneath the waves. His heart pounded, and in that moment, David knew this rescue was only the beginning. Uneasy alley in Seth jungle was quiet after the river fight. Steam rose from the water, mist hung in the air, the cries of birds slowly returned, cautious, as if even they feared what had just happened. David sat on the muddy shore, his chest still heaving from the struggle. His hands trembled as he tightened the last bandage on the alien leopard's flank. The beast was massive even while weak. Muscles rippled beneath its wet fur and scales. Its golden eyes burned into him with strange focus. Every instinct inside David told him to back away, to grab his rifle and put distance between himself and the predator. But he stayed. Something about those eyes held him in place. The leopard growled low, its head lifting weakly. Its breath came out in heavy huffs. Fangs glistened in the fading light. David stiffened, ready for the strike. But it did not attack. It simply lowered its head again. Body trembling from exhaustion, David frowned. His voice came quiet, almost to himself. You could kill me in 1 second, but you don't. He reached slowly into his pack and pulled out a small flask. He poured water into a dented metal cup. Then, carefully, he slid it toward the beast. The leopard's nose twitched. It sniffed, then growled softly. Its glowing eyes shifted from the cup to David. For a long moment it did nothing. Then, with slow grace, it lowered its muzzle and lapped at the water. David let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. His chest loosened slightly. He whispered, "Guess that means we're not enemies." Not yet. The leopard's tail twitched. Not with threat, but almost with curiosity. As night fell, David dragged some branches together and lit a small fire. The orange glow flickered against the black scales of the beast. Its wounds glistened. Under the flames, the jungle shadows danced. The leopard shifted, groaning low, its paws flexed, claws scraping the dirt. David saw its ribs heaving. It was still in pain. He unwrapped a packet of human medicine from his kit. Inside were small tablets and salves. He moved slowly, showing his hands, speaking softly as if to a friend. "Easy now, I'm going to help." The leopard's eyes narrowed. Its ears flicked back. It let out a warning rumble. David stopped, waiting. He stayed still until the growl faded. Then, carefully, he pressed the salve onto its wounds. The beast twitched, its body jerking. Its claws dug into the ground, inches from David's leg. But it did not strike. Instead, it let out a low growl, as if telling him to hurry. Minutes passed. David worked quickly. His hands steadied though his heart pounded. When he finished, he sat back, wiping sweat from his brow. The leopard's breaths came steadier. Its golden eyes studied him with something almost like thought. David leaned against the tree, staring into the fire. His voice was tired, but calm. "Strange day. How? I save a beast that should have killed me, and now I'm playing doctor." The leopard huffed, almost like a response. David chuckled weakly. "Yeah, laugh at me. Why not?" The night pressed deeper. Insects sang, the river gurgled, the stars above shimmered faintly through the thick canopy. The fire popped and crackled, casting warm light over man and beast. David's eyes drifted to the strange markings across the leopard's body. At first he thought they were natural patterns, but in the firelight they looked deliberate, lines, curves. Almost like writing burned into the fur and scales. They shimmered, faintly, pulsing with a soft glow. He leaned closer, whispering, "What are you?" The leopard growled low, not in threat, but in warning, as if telling him not to touch. David raised his hand slowly. "All right, I get it. I won't." Still, the markings unsettled him. They were not random, they carried meaning. He felt it in his bones. This was no ordinary animal. Hours passed. David kept the fire alive. His rifle rested near his side, ready if needed. He glanced at the beast often. But the leopard did not move to attack. Instead, it lay with its head resting on its paws, breathing heavily, watching him. When the wind shifted, David thought he saw its eyes soften, not with weakness, but with something different. Something close to trust. He shook his head, muttering to himself, "Maybe I'm just tired." But deep inside, he knew it wasn't just exhaustion. Something was changing, slowly but surely. The predator and the human were no longer simply enemies forced together by chance. Something fragile had begun to form. When dawn began to break, the jungle stirred awake once more. The leopard shifted, its muscles twitching as it tried to rise. David quickly stepped forward. Holding out a hand, careful, the beast snarled, pride flaring in its golden eyes. It struggled to its feet, swaying. Its body shook. But it stood, its head lifted proudly. David stared, amazed. His lips curved into a small smile. "Guess you're tougher than I thought." The leopard flicked its tail, then lowered its head toward him briefly, almost like acknowledgement. Then it turned its gaze back to the river, to the place where the glowing light had shimmered beneath the water. David followed its eyes. His stomach tightened. Whatever the beast was protecting down there, it was important, and soon he would find out why. Asterisk hunted by the jungle was alive with danger. Every step David took sank into mud. Every vine he touched seemed to writhe like a snake. The alien leopard limped beside him, its golden eyes sharp, its wounds still fresh, but healing. They moved slowly along the riverbank, the sun blocked by thick trees. Shadows danced across the ground. Strange bird calls echoed like warnings. Something was watching them. David gripped his rifle tightly. His finger rested near the trigger. He had traveled alien jungles before, but never with a predator at his side. Every sound, every movement made his chest tighten. The leopard's ears twitched. It growled low, a sound that rumbled like thunder. Its body lowered. Tail flicking, David froze. "What is it?" he whispered. The answer came fast. From the trees above, a massive serpent uncoiled. Its body glistened with green scales, eyes glowing red. Fangs dripped with venom. It hissed. Striking down like lightning, David fired, the rifle cracking through the jungle. The shot struck the serpent in the neck. It screeched, twisting violently. But another leapt from the shadows. Then another. The jungle exploded with motion. The leopard roared, its voice shaking the trees. It lunged despite its injuries, claws flashing, teeth sinking into one serpent's throat. The creature writhed, tail smashing against the ground. David fired again, bullets tearing through scales. The air filled with gunfire, hissing, and roars. One serpent lunged toward David, its fangs bared. He stumbled back, raising his rifle too late. But the leopard struck first, slamming into the serpent's side. They rolled across the ground, mud and blood flying. The beast tore into the serpent's flesh, ending it with a savage snap. David gasped, sweat pouring down his face. His heart pounded like a drum. He looked at the alien predator beside him. Its body bled from new wounds, yet it stood tall, chest heaving, eyes burning. For the first time, David realized something. They were not just surviving together. They were fighting as one. But the jungle was not finished. From the shadows, other predators watched. Glowing eyes peered through the vines. The air grew heavy. The leopard growled, low and dangerous. Its head turned slowly, scanning the trees. David followed its gaze. His stomach sank. They were surrounded. Strange lizard wolves crept from the underbrush, their bodies low, fangs bared, dozens of them. Their snarls echoed through the jungle, their eyes fixed on the wounded leopard. David lifted his rifle, but his magazine was nearly empty. He cursed under his breath, his voice tight. "This is bad." The leopard stepped forward, blood dripping from its side. Its body shook, but its spirit did not. It roared, the sound shaking the air. The lizard wolves paused, their ears flattening. They did not retreat, but they hesitated. David's hands trembled as he reloaded his last rounds, his voice low. almost to himself. Guess we stand together again. The wolves attacked, leaping in a storm of teeth and claws. David fired, dropping the first one midair. Another slammed into his side, knocking him into the mud. He rolled, stabbing with his knife. The wolf screeched. Blood spraying, the leopard tore through two at once. Its claws ripped flesh, its fangs crushed bone. Yet each strike cost it strength. Its wounded body staggered. But still it fought. The jungle became a blur of motion. David shot, stabbed, struggled. His arms burned. His chest screamed for air. The leopard roared beside him, standing like a wall of fury. Finally, silence fell. The last wolf limped away, bleeding, vanishing into the shadows. The jungle grew quiet again. Only the sound of heavy breathing remained. David collapsed to his knees, mud covering his face, his rifle empty, his body shaking. He looked at the leopard. Its sides rose and fell rapidly, blood staining its black fur. Its golden eyes met his. For a long moment, they stared at each other, not as enemies, not even as strangers, but as survivors. David whispered, breathless, "You saved me." The leopard flicked its tail, lowering its head briefly. Almost like agreement, in that moment, David felt something shift inside him. The fear that once ruled him faded, replaced with respect. The leopard was no longer just a beast. It was his ally. As the sun sank behind the canopy, casting the jungle in red glow, David and the leopard stood side by side, battered but alive. And David knew, whatever the beast had been protecting in the river, whatever secret glowed beneath the waters, it was worth dying for. Because both of them were now bound by survival, by blood, and by a fragile, growing trust. Asterisk. The secret beneath the water's jungle was calmer now. But the silence felt heavy. David sat by the river, reloading what little ammo he had left. His body was bruised, his clothes torn. The alien leopard lay nearby, licking its wounds, golden eyes glowing faintly in the fading light. 4 hours they rested, both too exhausted to move far. The jungle's predators had retreated. But David knew it would not stay safe for long. His mind kept returning to the moment in the river, when he saw that strange glow beneath the water. He looked at the beast. "You weren't fighting for yourself, were you?" he said softly. "You were guarding something." The leopard lifted its head, its eyes fixed on the river. Then, slowly, it rose to its feet, limping. Its tail lashed once before it turned toward the water. David frowned, curiosity burning inside him. He grabbed his pack and followed. The leopard stepped carefully into the shallows. The water rippled around its massive body. David waded in after it, the cold biting his skin. The beast looked back at him once, almost as if to test his resolve. Then it pushed deeper, toward the darker part of the river. David's boots slipped on the stones. The current tugged at him. He fought to stay steady. His eyes caught the faint shimmer below, the same glow he had seen before, pulsing softly like the heartbeat of the earth. The leopard dipped its head, then it dove, vanishing beneath the surface. David cursed under his breath, took a deep breath, and followed. The world turned to rushing water. His eyes stung. Bubbles rose past his face. The light glowed stronger now, guiding him downward. His lungs screamed for air. But he kicked hard, following the leopard through the darkness. Then he saw it, a cave beneath the river, hidden by stone and shadow. The opening glowed with pale blue light. The leopard swam inside with strong, graceful movements. David forced himself to follow. His chest ached, but the sight inside made him forget the pain. The cave was alive. Walls shimmered with crystals that pulsed faintly, casting blue light across the water. In the center, on a smooth rock above the surface, something small curled tightly into a ball. David broke the surface, gasping. He pulled himself onto the rock, water streaming from his clothes. The leopard climbed beside him, its massive body dripping. David froze, his eyes locked on the small shape. It was a cub, a smaller version of the alien leopard, but its scales glowed softly with light. Its breathing was shallow, its body trembling. Strange markings ran across its back, brighter and more complex than the adults. Each symbol pulsed as if alive. David's heart stopped. You were protecting this, he whispered. The great leopard lowered its head, nuzzling the cub gently. A low sound rumbled from its throat, soft and protective. David had never heard anything like it. Not a growl, not a roar, but something close to sorrow and love. David knelt slowly. His hand trembled as he reached out. The cub opened its glowing eyes, staring at him with innocent curiosity. For a moment, he felt his chest tighten, as if something ancient looked back at him through those eyes. The markings along the cub's body flared brighter, filling the cave with light. David shielded his eyes. The air seemed to hum, vibrating through his bones. What are you? He whispered, his voice shaking. The leopard growled low, a warning to stay back. Its golden eyes narrowed. David froze, pulling his hand away. He nodded. All right, I understand. It's not mine to touch. Still, the truth burned inside him. This cub was no ordinary creature. The markings, the glow, the power in the air was something more, something sacred. David sat back against the crystal wall, his breath unsteady. He looked at the great leopard, its body coiled protectively around the cub. You nearly died to save it, he muttered. And I nearly died saving you. The beast's eyes lifted to him, and for the first time, David thought he saw gratitude there. The cave hummed softly, the glow reflected in the water. The cub shifted weakly. Pressing closer to its parent, David stared, his mind racing. Why was the cub glowing? Why did the markings pulse like living script? What did they mean? His thoughts were broken by a sudden sound. Voices, muffled, echoing faintly from outside the cave. Human voices. David stiffened. His stomach sank. He recognized the tone. Sharp and commanding. Soldiers, mercenaries maybe. The leopard lifted its head, growling low. Its golden eyes burned with fury. Its tail lashed. David cursed under his breath, his voice a whisper. They're coming. The cub's markings flared again, filling the cave with brighter light. The crystals hummed louder, as if answering the cub's call. David's heart pounded, his skin prickled. He had just uncovered a secret worth dying for, and now others were coming to take it. The hunter's rived glow of the cub filled the cave. The crystals pulsed in rhythm, like the heartbeat of the jungle itself. David's breath came hard. His eyes locked on the small creature. He had never seen anything so strange, so alive with power. But the moment of silence broke. From beyond the river, voices echoed, harsh and sharp. David froze. He knew the sound well. Mercenaries. He had heard that tone in war zones. Men trained to kill. Spread out. The target is close. One voice sparked. The leopard lifted its head, growling low. Its golden eyes narrowed. Its body curved protectively around the cub. The sound of weapons clattering echoed outside, boots crunching over stone. David's stomach twisted. He whispered, "They're here for the cub." He crept closer to the cave entrance, pressing himself against the wall. Through the water he saw shadows moving, armored figures with rifles. Their helmets glowed faintly, scanning the river banks. The mercenaries spoke again, their voices cold. "The beast has a child. That's the key. We bring it back alive, no matter the cost." David's blood ran cold. Key? To what? What could a cub mean to soldiers like these? His mind raced. But the answer didn't matter now. What mattered was survival. He turned back toward the leopard. Its growl deepened. The cub whimpered, its glowing markings pulsing faster as if sensing the danger. The crystals in the wools responded, humming louder. The mercenaries stepped into the river, water splashing around their legs, their rifles raised, scanning the surface. One of them stopped, pointing at the faint blue light that leaked from the cave. There, in the water. Move in. David's pulse thundered. He knew if they found the cub, it was over. The mercenaries would take it, and whatever secret it carried would be lost. He looked at the leopard, whispering urgently, "If you fight, they'll kill you. If I fight, they'll kill me." But together, the beast met his eyes. For a heartbeat, human and alien predators stared at each other. Then the leopard lowered its head, a low growl like agreement. David raised his rifle, checking his last rounds. His voice was steady despite the fear. Then we stand together. The first mercenary dove into the water, his body slicing through like a shadow. He emerged inside the cave, rifle raised. His eyes widened at the sight of the glowing cub found. It, the leopard pounced, its roar shaking the crystals. It slammed the soldier against the wall, claws ripping through armor. Sparks flew, blood splattered. The soldier screamed before falling silent. Gunfire erupted, bullets cracked through the cave. David dove behind a stone, returning fire. His shots echoed, sparks spraying as rounds struck the walls. One mercenary fell, another advanced, shouting into his comms, target located. Moving to secure, the cub's glow flared, blinding bright. The crystals vibrated violently. The mercenaries hesitated, shielding their eyes. David used the moment, firing to quick bursts. A soldier dropped into the water, blood spreading like ink. The leopard fought like a storm. Despite its wounds, its jaws snapped. Its claws shredded armor, every strike fueled by fury, every roar a warning. No one would touch the cub, not while it still breathed. But the mercenaries kept coming, more shadows filling the cave entrance. Their weapons hummed with alien tech. Glowing barrels aimed at both man and beast. David cursed, ducking as a blast scorched the stone near his head. His rifle was nearly empty. His voice strained. We can't hold them forever. The cub whimpered, its glowing markings pulsing faster. Then, suddenly, the light surged outward. A shockwave rippled through the cave, smashing into the mercenaries. Their weapons sparked, short-circuited. Armor plates cracked. Men screamed as they were hurled back into the river. David shielded his face, his body rattled by the force. The leopard pressed against the cub, sheltering it from the blast. When the light faded, the cave was silent except for the sound of water dripping. David lowered his arm slowly, his eyes wide. The mercenaries outside shouted in confusion, retreating. Fall back, regroup. That thing is unstable. Their voices faded into the jungle. Their boots splashed away through the river. The cave settled again. The crystals dimmed. The cub lay trembling, its glow soft once more. The leopard licked its head gently, crooning low. David stared, his chest heavy with realization. That's why they want you, that cub. It's not just alive, it's something more. The leopard's golden eyes lifted to him, its body low, protective. It did not need words to tell him the truth. The cub was sacred, maybe even a weapon. David leaned back against the wall, breathing hard, his voice low. Then I guess I just made enemies of more than the jungle. The jungle outside was quiet again, but he knew silence never lasted long. More mercenaries would come, stronger ones. This was only the beginning. The last stand jungle night was restless. Distant roars echoed. Branches shook as unseen creatures moved in the dark. David sat at the edge of the glowing cave, rifle in his hands. His body was sore, his mind heavy. The mercenaries had retreated for now, but he knew they would return. Beside him, the alien leopard coiled protectively around his glowing cub. Its golden eyes burned in the dim light, every muscle tense. The cub slept fitfully, its markings pulsing softly. The crystals in the cave responded to every beat, humming like a living heart. David whispered, "They'll be back, with more firepower." The leopard's ears flicked, a low growl rumbling in its chest, as if it understood. Hours passed. The jungle outside grew quiet, to quiet. Then came the sound David feared: boots, heavy and steady, splashing through the river, voices sharp and commanding. "Fan out, sir," on the cave, this time. No mistakes. David tightened his grip on the rifle. His last magazine was loaded, just a handful of bullets. His knife strapped to his thigh. That was all he had. He glanced at the leopard, meeting its eyes. "Looks like this is it." The beast stood, its wounds forgotten, its tail lashed, claws flexing. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, predator and human. Then the leopard lowered its head, a silent pact. They would fight as one. The first mercenaries stormed into the cave, rifles glowing with alien energy. Bullets and blasts filled the air. The wolves sparked as fire lit the crystals. David fired back. His shots precise. Two soldiers fell, water rushing red. Round them, the leopard roared, leaping into the fray. Its claws shredded armor. Its fangs snapped through helmets. Its fury shook the ground. Soldiers screamed as the beast tore them apart. Blood sprayed across the glowing walls. But more came. Mercenaries poured in from every side. Their weapons burned hot, beams slicing through stone. One blast struck the leopard in the shoulder. It staggered, growling in pain. "Hold on," David shouted. He dove, tackling one soldier, his knife flashing. They rolled in the mud, David stabbing again and again until the man fell still. He turned just as another mercenary raised his rifle. David fired first. The bullet striking true, the cup whimpered, its markings flaring brighter. The crystals hummed violently. The mercenaries shouted, "The child is reacting. Secure it now." The leopard roared, throwing itself between the cup and the soldiers. Blood poured from its wounds, but its strength did not falter. It was a wall of fury, protecting what mattered most. David's rifle clicked empty. His stomach sank. He grabbed his knife again, charging at the nearest soldier. The man was larger, armored, but David drove the blade deep, rage fueling every strike. He turned, breathing hard, only to see more soldiers entering. Dozens now. The cave shook from explosions. David's chest tightened. This was it. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but still he stood, knife in hand, beside the wounded leopard. "Come on," he roared, his voice echoing. "You'll have to go through us." The leopard answered with another roar, their voices blending, shaking the walls. The mercenaries charged. But then the cub screamed, a sound unlike anything David had ever heard. The glow from its body burst outward in a blinding wave. The crystals exploded with light. Energy surged through the cave. A shockwave blasted across the soldiers. Their rifles short-circuited. Armor cracked. Men were hurled into the river with screams. Some lay motionless. Others fled in panic. David shielded his eyes, the force rattling his bones. The leopard pressed against the cup, shielding it. When the light faded, the cave was silent. Bodies floated in the river. Weapons sparked uselessly in the mud. The survivors scrambled away, shouting, in terror, "Fall back. It's too powerful." Silence returned, broken only by the drip of water and the heavy breathing of man and beast. David lowered his arm slowly. His chest rose and fell hard. He looked at the cup, still glowing faintly. Its small body trembling, but alive. He whispered, "You saved us." The leopard collapsed beside the cup, blood dripping. Its golden eyes looked at David, tired but fierce, for a long moment. There was no sound between them, only respect. David dropped to his knees, exhaustion weighing him down. He stared at the beast and its child, his voice rough. "I guess we won the last stand." The leopard let out a low rumble, not a growl, but something closer to agreement. Together, they had survived. A bond forged in Servavalve Cave was quiet at last. The smell of smoke and blood lingered in the damp air. David sat slumped against a stone wall, his rifle useless in his lap. His body was bruised, cut, and heavy with exhaustion. Every breath felt like fire. But he was alive. Beside him lay the alien leopard, its chest rising and falling slowly. Its black fur and shining scales were torn, blood seeping into the ground, yet its golden eyes were still fierce. Watching over the glowing cub curled safely between them. The cub shifted, its markings pulsing faintly. The light was softer now, no longer a storm, just a gentle glow. David stared at it with awe. His voice came as a whisper. "You're not just an animal, are you? You're something more." The leopard rumbled low, pressing its muzzle against the cup, its tail wrapped protectively. David understood. No words were needed. The cup was sacred, powerful, and the beast had risked everything to protect it. Outside, the jungle was silent. No mercenaries returned. The survivors had fled in fear, shaken by the light they could not control. David knew they would tell others. The cub's secret was no longer safe. He dragged himself closer to the leopard, his voice tired but steady. They'll come again, stronger next time. But I'm not leaving you, not leaving either of you. The beast turned its eyes toward him. For a moment, predator and human locked gazes. Then the leopard lowered its head, a silent gesture of respect. David managed a weak smile. Guess that makes us partners? The cub blinked up at him, its glowing eyes wide. It gave a soft sound, almost like a purr, then pressed its small body against his arm. The warmth startled him. His chest tightened. You trust me, he whispered. The leopard let out a low growl, not of warning, but of approval. Hours passed. The fire in the cave burned low. The night air grew colder. David sat awake, staring at the cub's glow. His mind raced with questions. What was it? Why was it so important? Why did mercenaries call it a key? But one truth stood clear. Whoever the cub was, it deserved to live free, not in chains, not as a weapon. By dawn, David forced himself to stand. His legs shook, but he reached for his pack. He looked at the leopard. We can't stay here. They'll track us. We move together, or we die. The leopard pushed itself up slowly, every movement painful. Yet it stood tall, proud, even in its wounds. The cub nestled against its side, its glow lighting the path faintly. Step by step, the three left the cave. The river flowed behind them, hiding the battlefield of the night before. The jungle ahead was vast, dangerous, but alive with possibility. As they walked, David glanced at the beast, his voice low. Back home, they'll never believe me. A man and an alien predator walking side by side, protecting a glowing cub. Sounds like madness. The leopard flicked its tail, golden eyes watching him. A low rumble left its chest. David smirked weakly. Yeah, maybe it is madness, but it's real. The cub stumbled once, then regained its balance. Its markings shimmered brighter, casting light across the vines and trees. David felt the weight of it. This was no ordinary life he had saved. It was a future, a bond that could change everything. As the sun rose, painting the jungle in gold, David stopped and looked at them both. The beast, scarred but unbroken, and the cub, fragile but powerful. His voice came firm. From now on, no one gets left behind. Not you, not the cub, not anyone. The leopard lifted its head high, its roar echoing through the jungle. Not a roar of rage, but of defiance and pride. The sound carried across the trees, announcing that they still lived. David tightened his pack and took his first step forward. The leopard followed, the cub padding between them. Together they vanished into the green shadows. Enemies would come again. Hunters would return. The secret of the cub would spread across worlds. But none of that mattered in this moment, because on this day, in the heart of the alien jungle, a bond had been forged, not by bloodline, not by species, but by survival, trust, and courage. A human man, an alien leopard, and its glowing cub, bound together, and the galaxy would never be the same.